Admiral Krell's antennae twitched in annoyance as the emergency alert blared across the command deck of the Galactic Alliance flagship, Harmony of Stars. He'd been enjoying his spiced nutrient broth, and now it was getting cold. Typical. "What is it now?" he barked, six-fingered hands adjusting his ceremonial collar as he settled into the command chair. Lieutenant Pax, his first officer, a slender, blue-skinned Malorian with calculating eyes, glided forward. "Sir, we've received an SOS from Colony Outpost Epsilon 9. It's rather desperate." "Show me," Krell sighed. The Alliance had over 300 colonies, and at least one of them was always having some crisis or another. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the panic-stricken face of colony leader Nira. Her red scales were pale, almost pink with fear, and one of her eye stalks appeared damaged. "This is colony leader Nira of Epsilon 9. We are under attack by unknown forces. They've breached our outer defenses and an explosion rocked her transmission. Please. Our children are here. They're taking everything, killing everyone who resists. Send help immediately." The transmission cut to static. Krell's stomach sacs churned uncomfortably. "Location? Far border, sir. Sector 87. Our nearest patrol fleet is 3 days away at maximum speed," Pax replied, analyzing data on her tablet. "Evacuation ships? We could dispatch them, sir, but they'd arrive after our military forces. And if these attackers are still present..." Pax left the implications hanging. Krell drummed his fingers on the armrest. "Notify all Alliance species. Standard protocol." "All species, sir." Pax hesitated. "Including the humans?" Krell's antennae flattened against his head. "The humans. The newest addition to the Galactic Alliance, barely 20 standard years as members. Primitive, volatile creatures from a backwater system. Yes, they'd proven themselves capable warriors during the Krodak conflict, but they were still considered the galaxy's unruly children, strong but unpredictable. Protocol is protocol, Lieutenant. Even the humans." "Very well, sir." Pax didn't hide her distaste as she transmitted the emergency alert to all Alliance embassies, including the human one. "They'll probably send a diplomatic vessel with some token security forces," Krell muttered. "If they respond at all. They're still angry about the trade restrictions on there. What was it called?" "Coffee, sir. And maple syrup." "Ridiculous substances," Krell mumbled. 3 hours later, Krell was reviewing evacuation plans when Pax burst onto the command deck, her normally composed features twisted with shock. "Sir. The humans have responded to our alert." "Already? What are they sending? A diplomat? A small cruiser?" Pax's voice dropped to an astonished whisper. "No, sir. They're deploying a battle group. #only one ship?" When an SOS summoned the human war giants from their slumber #Part 2, the arrival 2 days had crawled by with excruciating slowness. Admiral Krell stood on the observation deck of Jumpgate Station 12, the closest Alliance outpost to Epsilon 9. The latest reports from the colony made his heart sink. 3 destroyed settlements. Hundreds dead. Thousands taken hostage. "Pirates," growled Commander Zephyx of the Taurian Defense Fleet. "The Scarlet Claw Syndicate, based on attack patterns. They've grown bold. Our defense ships are being overwhelmed," Lieutenant Pax reported, her voice tight with strain. "They're using ion disruptors to disable our shields, then boarding parties to capture our vessels. We've lost contact with 4 patrol cruisers." The gathered Alliance commanders shifted nervously. Representatives from 7 species had arrived, offering what forces they could spare, mostly light cruisers and medical ships. Better than nothing, but not enough. "The humans should have been here by now," Krell muttered. "Probably changed their minds." That's when the station's alarms began to wail. "Massive hyperspace signature detected," called out the sensor officer. "Something big is coming through." "Pirates?" asked Zephix, reaching for his sidearm instinctively. "No, sir. Energy profile is. I've never seen anything like this." The view screen showed a swirling blue vortex tearing open the fabric of space. From within this maelstrom emerged the largest warship Krell had ever seen. It was sleek yet bristling with weapons, its hull marked with scars from previous battles. Emblazoned on its side in bold lettering, "Thunder of Terra." "By the Celestial Mothers," whispered Pax. "That's a human vessel?" The ship dwarfed the Alliance flagship. Where the Harmony of Stars was built for diplomatic presence with modest defense capabilities, this human behemoth was clearly designed for one purpose: war. The communication channel crackled to life, revealing a dark-skinned human female with close-cropped hair and eyes that seemed to evaluate everything they fell upon. "This is Captain Amara Jackson of the UES Thunder of Terra. Battle Group Nova has arrived in response to your distress call. We're tracking multiple hostile signatures around Epsilon 9. Battle Group?" Krell stammered. "This isn't your entire response force?" As if answering his question, 4 more hyperspace portals opened. 4 more massive warships emerged, each bristling with weapons and launching smaller craft. Their names flashed across the sensor displays: Wrath of Olympus, Titan's Hammer, Aegis of Sol, and Valkyrie's Promise. The Alliance commanders stood in stunned silence. "We're coordinating with your ground forces now," Captain Jackson continued, apparently unaware of the shock she'd caused. "We'll deploy drop ships in 30 minutes. Recommend your vessels form up behind our defensive screen." "Captain," Krell finally managed, "we didn't expect such significant commitment of forces." Jackson's expression remained professionally neutral, but something dangerous flickered in her eyes. "We brought only 1 battle group, Admiral. Was that not enough? #only 1 ship?" When an SOS summoned the human war giants from their slumber #Part 3, the observation deck of the Harmony of Stars had never been so crowded. Alliance officers from a dozen species huddled around tactical displays, watching with a mixture of awe, horror, and fascination as the human battle group engaged the pirate fleet. "They're not even trying to negotiate," whispered a floxy diplomat, his translucent skin pulsing with anxiety. "Would you negotiate with someone who attacked your children?" Lieutenant Pax replied, surprising herself with her own defense of the humans. The main screen showed waves of human fighters, sleek, angular craft they called raptors, swarming toward the pirate vessels like angry insects. Unlike Alliance combat pilots who fought with calculated precision, these humans flew with seemingly reckless abandon, pulling maneuvers that should have torn their ships apart or rendered the pilots unconscious. On the command deck of the Thunder of Terra, Captain Jackson stood calmly at the center of controlled chaos. Her executive officer, Commander Dexter, a tall, scarred man with a cybernetic eye, called out orders in a booming voice. "Valkyrie Squadron, hit their port batteries. Hammer, deploy your breaching pods. Olympus, maintain suppression fire on their flagship." The pirates, who had expected easy prey at this remote colony, now faced the full fury of humanity's war machine. Their vessels, cobbled together yet dangerous enough to terrorize civilian settlements, scattered before the coordinated human assault. "Ground team reports green for deployment," reported a communications officer. Jackson nodded. "Tell Major Torres she has authorization for full tactical freedom. Priority 1 is civilian rescue." Down on Epsilon 9's surface, the colonists cowering in makeshift shelters heard an earth-shaking roar as human drop ships punched through the atmosphere. Major Elena Torres led her shock troops, each soldier encased in powered combat armor, straight into the pirate-held sectors. "Remember your training." Torres barked into her comm, "Use stun charges in residential areas. Save the heavy ordnance for confirmed hostile strongpoints. And for the love of God, keep your helmet cams running. This is first contact with these ugly bastards, and intelligence will want footage. Admiral Krell watched, mandibles twitching, as helmet cam feeds appeared on the tactical display. The humans fought with an uncomfortable blend of advanced technology and primitive brutality. They used sophisticated scanning equipment to locate hostages, precision weapons to eliminate threats with minimal collateral damage. And then sometimes resorted to what appeared to be hand-to-hand combat, smashing pirate skulls with armored fists. Are they enjoying this? Asked Commander Zephyx, disturbed. I believe they are simply efficient, replied Pax, studying the tactical feeds. Look how they prioritize civilian evacuation while simultaneously cutting off enemy escape routes. It's impressive. In orbit, the remaining pirate vessels attempted to flee. 3 managed to reach their hyperspace points, only to emerge directly in the targeting sights of the waiting Aegis of Sol. Attention pirate vessels, Captain Jackson's voice echoed across all channels. Your ground forces have been neutralized. Your fleet is destroyed or captured. Surrender immediately or be boarded. On the main screen, the pirate flagship, a hulking, vicious-looking craft called Blood Tide, powered down its weapons. The face of the pirate leader, a scarred Vexery with metal implants jutting from his skull, appeared on the communication channel. We surrender, he growled. Just don't send your boarding parties. We've heard stories about what happens when humans board enemy ships. #only one ship? When an SOS summoned the human war giants from their slumber ## Part 4, the aftermath 3 days after the battle, Epsilon 9 was already showing signs of recovery. The final tallies were remarkable, over 8,000 civilians rescued, with casualties numbering fewer than 200. The pirate forces had been completely routed, those not killed in the fighting were now prisoners awaiting transport to Alliance detention facilities. Admiral Krell stood in the colony's central plaza, watching as human engineers worked alongside local builders to repair damaged structures. Their efficiency was unsettling. Admiral. Captain Jackson approached, her uniform immaculate despite the dust and debris. The colony's defense grid has been upgraded. We've installed additional sensor buoys that should give at least 6 hours warning if more trouble comes. Captain Jackson, Krell began, struggling to find the right words. Your battle group's performance was beyond our expectations. Jackson's lips curved slightly. The 5th battle group is actually one of our smaller response forces. If we'd known the full scale of the situation, we might have dispatched the 2nd or 3rd. Krell's antennae went rigid with shock. Smaller? How many battle groups does Earth maintain? Currently, 17 active, with 3 more in various stages of completion. 17? Krell's voice rose to an uncharacteristic squeak. But your species only controls 8 star systems. Commander Dexter, who stood at Jackson's side, chuckled. Quality over quantity, Admiral. Our history is basically one long series of wars interrupted by brief periods of peace. Makes us a bit prepared for this sort of thing. Across the plaza, Lieutenant Pax was deep in conversation with Major Torres, carefully examining a deactivated suit of human combat armor. Several other Alliance officers had gathered around a human pilot who was explaining the capabilities of her fighter craft. The fear and suspicion that had colored their initial reactions to the humans had been replaced with something new, respect. Colony leader Nira approached, her scales now returned to their healthy crimson hue. Captain Jackson, words cannot express our gratitude. You came when no one else could. My people will never forget this. Just doing our job, ma'am, Jackson replied with a nod. We've left a company of Marines here for continued security. They'll rotate out in 3 months. Admiral, Dexter added, turning to Krell, we'd like to extend an invitation to the Alliance military. Training exercises with our forces. Cross-species tactical development. Seems we each have things to teach one another. Krell nodded slowly, the full implications of the past few days finally crystallizing in his mind. The balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted dramatically. The humans, whom the Alliance had viewed as primitive newcomers, were actually sleeping giants of warfare. As the day wound down, Krell found himself alone with Captain Jackson on an observation deck overlooking the recovering colony. "I must ask, Captain. Why did you respond so overwhelmingly to a single colony's distress call?" Jackson's expression grew serious. "Because someone was in trouble and asked for help. On Earth, we have an old tradition called the Good Samaritan Principle. We answer all distress calls, no matter how small." Later that night, Admiral Krell made an unprecedented update to the Galactic Alliance emergency protocols. At the top of the new procedure document, highlighted in red, were the words, "When true danger threatens, call the humans first."